Welcome to Shots Fired. I am the legend, Travis Keene, and with me I have
Brad freaking Nolen,
who is returning from the Northeast to give us his Week 3 picks.
How's it going, guys?
Alright, let's get started here. First game on the docket, the Saints at the Falcons from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta.
Well, I'm going to go with the Falcons in this one. I could see the Saints pulling it out. They just had 2 rough weeks. Week 1 and 2 looked like easy wins for them. Should have been, but they didn't play good. So, who knows? They might turn it around against the Falcons. But as of today, I think the Falcons are the better team. So, I'm going to go with them. Close game. I'm going to say 27-24.
Yep, and I like the Falcons as well. I'm going to go 30-27 Atlanta. Matt Ryan and that offense is going to do work. And that's about all that needs to be said. Next game, the San Francisco 49ers at the Kansas City Chiefs from Arrowhead Stadium.
I like the Chiefs in this one. Pretty big. Pat Mahomes is playing lights out. That Chiefs offense, it's explosive as can be. I think they're going to win by 14, maybe 21. They might win by 3 touchdowns. But, yeah, I like the Chiefs in this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs as well, especially at home. Their first home game of the year, too. 49ers defense just has too many issues and too many holes on that side of the ball. And Kansas City's offense, the way it's going right now, I just don't see the Niners slowing them down, especially in Kansas City. Mahomes is, they're only 2 weeks in. He's looking like an early season MVP candidate as of now. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Kansas City by about what Bradley said, 2 or 3 scores.
How many touchdowns do you think Pat Mahomes throws Sunday?
I'm going to go 5.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see Jimmy G throwing 4 or 5 as well. So
yeah, I could too. All right, moving on to the next game here. The Oakland Raiders traveling to the East Coast for a 1 o'clock showdown with the Miami Dolphins in South Beach.
I like the Oakland Raiders getting their first win of the season. I think Miami's 2 wins are flukes. I don't think Miami's that good of a team. The 2 wins they have against Tennessee and against, who'd they beat last week, Trav?
Jets at New York.
Yeah, the Jets. I thought the Jets should have won that game easily, but yeah, Miami showed up, but I don't see them beating the Raiders. The Raiders ain't going to start 0-3. Raiders could have won last week pretty easily, but just choked there at the end in Denver. But I like Oakland in this one by 10 points. I'm going to say 27-17.
And I disagree. I think Miami's going to take this game at home. 1 o'clock game, West Coast team traveling East Coast for a 1 o'clock game. I just ain't a fan of that. Oakland, the way they lost last week was an absolute backbreaker. To lead the whole game up until 6 seconds ago is just a backbreaking loss on the road to a division rival. And I just don't think they're going to recover from that in a 1 week period, especially having to travel way out to the East Coast, South Florida, to take on the Dolphins. And the Dolphins, I think, may be better than what people think, including myself, of what I thought of Miami coming into the season. I thought their week one win against Tennessee was a fluke, but last week to go into New York and beat the Jets, especially after seeing what the Jets done 6 days earlier on Monday Night Football in Detroit against the Lions, I thought was impressive. So I like what I've seen out of the Dolphins so far. The other thing about this game, Oakland has the next worst pass rush in the league defensively. So Tannehill should have plenty of time to stand back in the pocket and throw the ball. So I like that aspect for Miami. Miami's pretty stingy on defense as well. I think they've allowed like the 6th fewest passing touchdowns in the last year or so. So, yeah, I like Miami at home.
I think Miami's going to get their first loss. Oakland's going to get that first W.
All right, moving on to the next game. The Buffalo Bills at the Minnesota Vikings in the Twin Cities.
Vikings in a blowout. Next.
Yep, there ain't need to be nothing else said about that. Next game on the docket, the Indianapolis Colts visiting Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia to take on the Eagles.
The return of Carson Wentz. I cannot wait to see him back on the field. It's been too long. I think he could start out rusty, but he is Carson Wentz, so probably not. He'll probably come out throwing bombs. He'll probably show out like usual. So I say the Eagles win this one. I do think it's going to be a pretty close game up until the end. I think the Colts will put up a good fight. Andrew Luck, he's big-time quarterback, but I like Philly. I'm going to say they win it 27-17.
Yeah, I like Philadelphia as well, but the Colts are coming in here with some momentum. Nice road win for them in Washington last week. I don't think many people, including myself, gave them much of a chance to go to Washington and beat the Redskins, but they did. So kudos to them on that. But I just think the Colts still have too many issues on that O-line. I think Philly is going to get after Luck. Yes, he's a mobile quarterback, so he'll roll out and he may make a occasional play or two with his legs and athleticism, but I still don't think it'll be enough, and they have too many holes on defense as well. The only thing that really worries me is will Carson be rusty, but it wouldn't surprise me if he comes out and he throws 4 or 5 touchdowns neither, because he's a special player. But
just think about the Eagles' pass rush, though, getting against that Colts' horrible offensive line. Think about that. That's going to be, it could be a field day for the Eagles' defense. So
yeah, I think that'll be too much for the Colts to overcome, and they really don't have a run game to speak of. Philly stops the run anyhow. So
yeah,
I like Philly by about what I said the other night, 24-13.
All right, on to the next one.
Next game, the Green Bay Packers visiting FedEx Field in our nation's capital to take on the Redskins.
I like the Packers in this one, going on the road, getting a W. Yeah, Washington was a big shock last week. They didn't show up against the Colts. I was really surprised by that, but I think this game will be pretty competitive, but I like the Packers in the end. I'm going to say 34-28.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with the team I hate the most, Green Bay. Washington, I don't know what was up with them against the Colts. And only score 9 points against that defense was just strange. I just don't understand how they didn't score more points than only 9. But I just think that was a setback for them, and I just don't see them beating Green Bay. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do, but I just don't see it happening. All right, I guess we'll move on here to the next game. The Cincinnati Bengals paying a visit to historic Bank of America Stadium to take on the Carolina Panthers.
The Bengals are a surprise team this year, starting out 2-0. They look strong, but I don't think they're going to go into Carolina and win. Carolina's a pretty solid team. I just think that home field advantage is going to help Carolina. Now, if it was in Cincinnati, I'd probably pick the Bengals. But it being in Carolina, I think Cam's going to have a good day, and that defense is going to have a good day. We'll say Carolina wins at 26-16.
Yeah, I like the Panthers as well at home. Carolina got their butts handed to them a little bit in Atlanta last week, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And so I don't see Cincinnati, especially running game-wise, doing much on offense, especially now that Joe Mixon is also out. And they're going to have to rely on Giovanni Bernard to carry on the bulk of the rushes. And I just don't see him doing much. About the only chance they got is if they can protect Andy Dalton and he can make some throws down the field, because Carolina's secondary is still a little bit suspect. But I don't think that'll be the case, and I don't think they'll be able to do enough defensively to stop Cam and company. And I like Carolina at home by about 10 to 13 points or so. Moving on here to the next game, the Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jaguars should win this one pretty easily. They looked good against the Patriots last week. Surprisingly, they won. I thought the Patriots would win that game, but the Jags showed up and got revenge for the AFC title game last year. But yeah, I like the Jags in this one. I'm going to say they win by at least 20. I don't think it'll be much of a game. That defense is just too much. I don't think the Titans will have anything to answer it.
Yeah, I like Jacksonville as well in this game, rather easy, especially at home. they play like they did against New England last week, I could see them blowing them out by 30 points potentially. Tennessee also got a lot of injuries, especially offensively. Mariota, I figure will play, but I know he's still probably not 100%, and that's not good playing against a team like that. Probably going to be a long day in Jacksonville for the Titans, I figure. And I think Fournette, I read, I think it was Thursday, I think he's coming back for this game, so that'll help out Jacksonville even more, too. So, yes, like Bradley said, ain't going to be much of a contest, I don't believe. So we'll move on here to the next game. The Denver Broncos traveling to the East Coast to take on the Baltimore Ravens.
I like the Ravens in this one. The Ravens, surprisingly, last week didn't show up against Cincinnati. I can't explain it. Thought the Ravens should have won that game, and they didn't. But I think being at home this week is going to help them. They'll get back on track. Denver's surprisingly 2-0, but I think they'll get their first loss this week in Baltimore. I like Baltimore by, I'm going to say Baltimore wins by 13. Say 26-13.
I like Baltimore as well. I think it's going to be a closer game than that, though. But, yeah, I like Baltimore at home. Like I said, another case of a West Coast team traveling east for a 1 o'clock game. Something I've never been a fan of. Baltimore too, 10 days off, week and a half rest, almost like a little mini bye week for them, so they'll be well rested and prepared, and Denver's had 2 good wins to start the year at home, but I just don't see them going into Baltimore, and I think this is going to be a defensive battle, on paper anyhow, 2 pretty good defenses, I would say, and I just don't see these offenses generating much, and I'm going to go with Baltimore. I'm going to go 17-13. All right, moving on to the next game here. The New York Giants at the Houston Texans.
I like the Texans in this one. Can't believe they're 0-2 to start the year. Obviously, they were my AFC, one of my teams I have in the AFC Championship to start the year. Eventually, they'll get it going. They should. They got a lot of talent on offense and defense. Deshaun Watson looked better last week than he did in Week 1. I like the Texans in this one pretty easily. I don't think it'll be much of a game. New York is a lot better than they were last year. I'll give them that. And they didn't look too bad last week in Dallas, and they didn't look bad Week 1 against Jacksonville. But give me the Texans in this one.
Yeah, I don't see this being much of a contest, especially down in Houston. It's the first home game of the season for the Texans, and they are 0-2. And if they lose this game, it could be a long season for them, but I just don't see them losing at home to the Giants. I actually think this is going to be a blowout, 20-plus point game. Giants' offense line, too many issues. If that D-line gets after Eli, he's just going to fold and go down like he always does. About the only hope they got is just for Saquon to just go off and have a big day, but I think he's going to be held in check. And I say that, I don't mean a bad game, but he just ain't going to explode and go off, I don't believe, against that defense in Houston. And I don't think they're going to be able to do enough defensively to stop Deshaun Watson and company. DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion, top 5 receiver in the league, potentially. Will Fuller, who's coming on strong as well. And
2 great receivers in this matchup. Odell Beckham and DeAndre Hopkins will be fun to watch. Which one of them gets the upper hand?
Yeah, I think DeAndre, without question. Nothing against Odell. I just think Hopkins has a better quarterback and everything, especially at this point in both of their careers. So, I just don't see this being much of a contest. Houston really needs to win this game. In my opinion, I'm going to throw this out. A must-win for Houston. It's a must-win. If they lose this game at home, they're in trouble. There's no way they should lose this game.
Must win for New York, too, so they can't start 0-3.
Yeah, you could look at it that way, but it's higher expectations for Houston than it is New York.
Well, a lot of people thought New York was going to win the East this year as well.
I don't see how anybody can think that, considering Philadelphia is as strong as they are, despite the fact they laid somewhat of an egg at Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay's been on a roll, and we'll get to them later on. But New York, just to me, just hasn't got much. I think Barkley's a special player. He's going to be good for years to come, and I think Odell's good. I'm not going to say quite top 5 receiver, but he's definitely top 10.
What?
No, I don't think he's top 5.
You don't have Odell Beckham in your top 5?
I do not.
Who's your top 5?
Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, and I make an argument for A.J. Green, Stephon Diggs, or somebody like that.
You have Keenan Allen, A.J. Green over Odell Beckham.
Yeah. I mean, A.J. Green's done caught 4 touchdowns this year.
Odell Beckham
3 in 1 game.
Is a special talent. He's definitely top 5. He's probably top 3. I'd say him, Brown, and Hopkins. Julio 4.
I don't know about that. But it'd be interesting to see what he does once Eli's gone, or unless he moves on to another team, of course. But I just don't. I think he's a heck of a player. I just don't think he's top 5 receiver, though. I really don't. Didn't do much against Dallas last week from what I've seen. So, of course, in fairness, Eli was getting put on his butt a lot in that game because they couldn't block. But anyhow, we'll move on here to the next game here, I guess. And this, in my opinion, could potentially be the game of the week, by the way. Heck of a matchup here. Battle of L.A. The Chargers playing against the Rams on the Rams turf. Technically a home game for the Rams, but they do share the same stadium. But I guess you call it a home game for the Rams if you want to. But it'll be interesting. A good game here between 2 good football teams.
I like the Rams in this one. I didn't have to think on this one too hard. I am a big believer in the Chargers, but at this point in the season, the Chargers don't look very strong, and the Rams do look very, very strong. So I think the Rams will win easily. I would say 34-17, something along those lines. Chargers just don't look great coming out the gates. Similar to the Saints. Saints have started out slow, but I think toward the end of the year, both of those teams will pick it up and be in the playoffs. But right now, I think the Rams are a much better team.
Yeah, I would say I agree with pretty much all of that. I'm going to go with the Rams as well. Their defense just unreal. I mean, it'll be a great matchup, don't get me wrong. Phillip Rivers is a heck of a quarterback. Future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. And it'll be a good game, but I just like where the Rams are at right now a little bit better. They're playing better, albeit they've not really played anybody much. I will say I did pick Oakland that Week 1 Monday night game to beat them at home, and that didn't happen. And Oakland did hang with the Rams there for about a half. They started off really good. First drive they had was a touchdown, but then they got to the second half and it got away, and the Rams pulled away and basically dominated the second half. Then last week they had the Cardinals at home, and outside of Buffalo, you could argue they're perhaps the worst team in the league, I would say. And of course that wasn't a contest, about like I figured it was going to be. But yeah, I think the Rams will take it though.
You could say the Rams and the Vikings are probably the 2 best looking teams in the NFC so far. Through the first 2 weeks. You could say Tampa Bay, but like I told you before we started this, I think Tampa Bay's a fluke, but the Rams and Vikings look very strong, and it just so happens they play each other next week, Thursday Night Football, so that'll be a great game to see.
Might be one of the best Thursday night games of all time. Potentially on paper it's setting up that way, I would say, no doubt.
Similar to that Eagles-Panthers game last year on Thursday night.
That was a Week 6 matchup, I believe, and both teams came in, I think, tied for best record at the time in NFC.
Yep.
So, yeah. Always good when you can get a good matchup on prime time, especially on a Thursday night. I think it's good for the league. I'm a little surprised that's Thursday night game, by the way. I'll harp on this for a second. That's a long travel for Minnesota, having to go to L.A. on a short week.
Yeah.
And I feel like most time they try to keep it geographically close on the Thursday night game since it's a short week. But, yeah, it's going to be a pretty good distance traveled by Minnesota on a short week. But I could see them going out to L.A. and winning, but we'll get to that next Wednesday night, of course. We can get ahead of ourselves here. But we'll move on here to the next game. The Chicago Bears paying a visit out to Glendale, Arizona, to take on the Arizona Cardinals.
Chicago will win this game. Arizona looks pretty bad to start the year. Chicago looks pretty good to start the year. That defense is for real. Khalil Mack is a difference maker. Oakland's probably wishing they wouldn't have got rid of him, and Green Bay's probably wishing they would have got him. But Chicago, they're legit. I mean, if Mitch Trubisky can get it going like he needs to, they're going to be a team to watch out for. But I like them in this game. Didn't have to take on it too much. I think they're going to win pretty easy.
Yeah, this game is going to be a blowout, folks. It's not going to be a contest, or shouldn't be. Chicago just got way too much for Arizona, and Khalil Mack is a difference maker, like Bradley said. And Sam Bradford last week at LA, I think had 90-some yards passing, and wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't do much better than that. He might crack the century mark at 100, but if he does, it'll surprise me. David Johnson, feel bad for that man. Great football player, just on a bad team right now. And Larry Fitzgerald, feel bad for him too. That his career is winding down, and he's on an awful team. And he's done said he's going to stick in Arizona for his career, so he's going to ride it out, I guess. But tough times in Arizona. I mean, crazy to think, just 3 years ago, I believe this team was in the NFC Championship game at Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the analysts, which at the time I disagreed with, thought they would beat Carolina in Carolina, which I didn't think they would. And my friend Clay Shelton said it best. He said when Carolina beat the crap out of Arizona that night in Charlotte, that was going to be the end and downfall of Arizona, and it's looking like he's right. I would actually say he's right. It ain't looking. He is right. But this ain't going to be a game at Arizona. I just wonder how many Cardinals fans will be at the game. I mean, ain't much to look forward to right now. If you're a Cardinals fan, probably wouldn't surprise me if it got tongue-tied. Wouldn't surprise me if it's more Bears fans there than it is Cardinals fans, even though it's in Arizona. I'll just say that.
I don't know. Arizona's got some pretty good fans, but we'll see.
Moving on to the next game here. The Dallas Cowboys at the Seattle Seahawks from CenturyLink Field in Seattle, Washington.
I like the Seahawks in this one at home. I think they'll get the job done. Still not too high on Dallas. I know they won last week when I picked the Giants. But them going on the road in that hostile environment, Dak Prescott will fold. He's not going to outplay Russell Wilson in this game. I like Seattle. It'll be pretty close, but I think toward the end, Seattle will pull away. Just too much of a home field advantage there in Seattle. So, yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I like the Seahawks as well in this game, especially at Seattle. That 12th man, my gosh, that crowd, despite the fact they're 0-2, they're going to come out rocking and roaring. It's going to be loud. Weather always in Seattle could be a factor. It could be raining. Well, it rains a lot in Seattle. It's going to be one crazy environment, as always, in Seattle. And I just don't think Dallas is going to be able to overcome that. And Dallas, in their first road game of the year at Carolina, didn't play well. And I definitely don't think they're going to play well in Seattle. Which, I love Carolina, but Seattle, I'd have to say, is probably a tougher environment to play in, I would say.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But, yeah, about the only thing that worries me about Seattle in this game is their O-line, and Dallas's pass rush, especially against the Giants, looked really good. But, like I said before, if you get pressure on Eli Manning, he's going to fold. Russell Wilson, great athlete, and he'll be able to escape a few, I figured, make a few plays with his legs. Unbelievable athlete, good football player. Seattle does have some injuries that concerns me, but I'll say this: I'm not expecting a lot from Seattle this year as a whole. I mean, I guess it's all right to say that we're still early in the year, only week 3, but this to me is a must-win game for them, especially their first home game of the year against a team that they got a chance to beat. It's not like they're playing a top 3 or 4 team. You know, they're playing the Dallas Cowboys, who at best is middle of the pack in the league, I would say.
They have been that way for decades.
And that's just at best, maybe not even middle of the pack, maybe lower tier, but I'm just saying at best, middle of the pack. But, yeah, they got to win this game. If they don't, I already think they're in for somewhat of a long year, but it'll be even longer if they lose this game. I'll put it to you that way. And I guess we will move on here to the next one. Sunday Night Football in the Motor City, Ford Field, Detroit. The New England Patriots at the Detroit Lions.
The Patriots are going to go into the 3-1-3 and get a W. Detroit is not looking very good this year. Week 1 was a disaster. Week 2, they looked a little better, but still, they lost. Brady's going to be ticked off what happened against the Jaguars last week. He's going to come out and have a big game. So I like the Patriots easy in this one. I wouldn't say it's going to be a huge blowout, but they'll win pretty easily.
And here it comes. I disagree. I think the Detroit Lions are going to get their first one of the season tomorrow night.
Do what?
Yes, I do.
Travis.
I do. I think Matthew Stafford's going to come out. He's going to have a big game. He's going to throw for 4 or 5 touchdowns in this game against that suspect defense. I think you're going to see people like Marvin Jones, Golden Tate. I think his name's Kenny
Galladay.
Yes, those 3 guys.
Got him in fantasy on multiple teams.
Those 3 guys are going to have a big game. Detroit doesn't historically do well running the ball, so they're not going to run the ball that well, I don't think. They're probably not even going to run it that much, because if I ain't mistaken, they've threw, I know, a lot more than they've ran it so far this year. I'll put it to you that way. But, yes, Detroit, they will win this game. I know it's crazy, and nobody's probably giving them a chance, but I really think they're going to win. I like another reason why I'm picking them is I like what I've seen out of them in San Fran last week. Yes, they, it was a close game there for about 2 quarters, and in the third, the Niners went off and pulled away, and I think they were up by like 17 or so, and then early fourth, Detroit charged back and was right there in the game. Stafford was balling out. San Fran had no answer for them pretty much for that fourth quarter. In my opinion, Detroit should have won that game, because I watched the last few minutes of it on my Sunday ticket, and Stafford on that last drive threw some great passes, and the receivers just didn't catch the ball, hit them right in the hands, and they dropped it on 2 or 3, and even the announcer said they should have caught the passes. And he put them in great position to win. Just receivers just couldn't catch the ball. So, what else can you do? I know he threw one to the running back on a screen, and he just flat out dropped it. And if they go down the field and they catch the passes he throws, because he was spot on, they'll probably take the lead and win that game late on the road, because San Fran would probably at the time wouldn't have enough time to drive down the field of their own with probably less than 30 seconds to go if Detroit would have scored a touchdown like I thought they had a chance to do. But I like the fight I seen out of them, and now they're coming home. And another thing is they got embarrassed at home on a national Monday night stage in Week 1 against the Jets, a team that most people thought they would beat, including myself. And now they're back at home in another primetime game, just basically, you might as well say, 2 weeks later. And this time, roles reverse. They're big-time underdogs. But I think they're going to win, though. I really do. I think it'll be a high-scoring game.
Do you really think Tom Brady's going to start out 1-2 this year against the Lions, at the hands of the Lions? Here's another storyline to watch. This is Matt Patricia's first game against his old team.
Yeah.
You really think Bill Belichick's going to let him win?
Well, he ain't going to just come out and say, "Oh, Matt, I'm going to let you win." No, he's going to try to win, but he ain't going to.
He's not going to let that happen. Patriots are going to win this easy. It's a no-brainer.
Plus, Matt Patricia, he knows how to probably beat New England, because he used to be their defensive coordinator, and so.
Well, shoot, he couldn't beat the Jets that night, and he played against them for years.
Jets were a little bit different. You got to think they had a rookie quarterback, too.
Yeah, that should have been easy for him. First start. That should have been easy pickings. Trav, this one you're going to be wrong about. I'm telling you.
I picked Detroit for this game back when I made all my predictions back in late July, early August. I had New England starting out 1-2. I really did. I got it wrote down in my notebook.
It's not happening. Brady's going to go off?
He's probably going to go off. Detroit's defense is suspect, but Matt Stafford's going to counter it. He's not better. I ain't saying he's better than Brady. I'm definitely not saying that. I don't think he is. But
another storyline to watch is, well, not really a storyline, but what's going to be in the back of the Patriots' mind is Jimmy Garoppolo beat this team, and then if we go in there and lose, that makes them look even worse. Their defensive coordinator coaching against them, and then a week prior, their backup quarterback gets a win against a team they can't. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, but Garoppolo got him at home, and plus it was a short week, and they had to travel to the West Coast too, though. So you got to look at it that way too.
Patriots win easy.
No, it ain't going to be easy. This game, if they do win, it's going to be close. It's Detroit. It's going to be close.
I don't even know why this game's a Sunday night game. It's pathetic.
No, this is a good matchup on a Sunday night.
The Sunday night game this week should have been anybody but this game.
No,
I'll just say that.
This is going to be a good game. Shootout. If you like seeing a lot of points scored, you tune in tomorrow night at NBC around 8 o'clock. You're going to see a classic. Both these quarterbacks going to throw for about 350 plus, I figure, tomorrow night. Maybe 400. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Upper 30s, maybe even reaching lower 40s. And could come down to who has the ball last. Two good kickers in this game as well. Steven Gostowski and Matt Prater. So, that's going to be good, folks. I can't wait for this showdown in the Motor City.
It'll be close until they kick it off, and then it'll be over. Next game, Trav.
Next game, I'm going to say this. This is about the next game, too, by the way. When I first seen this game on the Monday night schedule, I cringed, and I thought, what in the world is NFL thinking? Having the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Raymond James Stadium to play the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay on a Monday night, I thought it was the dumbest thing ever, but now here we are, and this is an intriguing matchup. This is going to be a good game, folks. So, let's go ahead and hear what Bradley has to say about it.
This will not be a good game. The Buccaneers are a fluke. They went into New Orleans. I'll give them that. They look good. And then last week they beat the Eagles at home. All right. Eventually this little fairy tale is going to end. They're going to lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even though I'm not a believer of Pittsburgh on the road either, and I still think they're going to win this game easily because Pittsburgh on the road's not the same team as they are at home. But this Buccaneers fairy tale, it's got to end. Ryan Fitzpatrick, come on now. This little story he's got going, it's not going to keep up for long. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised this week if he throws 5 interceptions and they get blown out. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. So give me the Steelers. I'm going to say they win by 10 or more. It's a pretty easy pick for me.
I disagree big time. Tampa at home, I think the Buccaneers are going to keep it rolling. I do think it'll be a relatively close game. I think Tampa pull away late. But Steelers just got too much drama. Le'Veon Bell drama. Now they got a little bit of drama with Antonio Brown. I think, if I ain't mistaken, somebody called him out on Twitter, which I thought this person was an idiot, by the way. Saying something like, Brown wouldn't be the receiver he is and have all these touchdowns if he didn't play in Pittsburgh with Big Ben. I think that's a truckload of crap. At this stage in his career, I don't even think Big Ben's all that great. I think he's washed up. Not to the point of Eli Manning washed up, no, but he's getting there. He's definitely on the decline. I still think the man's done enough to get in the Hall of Fame once he hangs it up, but as of right now, he's on the decline.
I don't know. Last week he looked pretty good. He had, 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns?
Yeah, but, I mean, yeah, you're right, but Kansas City's defense isn't that great.
Neither is Tampa.
Yeah, but
Steelers going to win it, Trav.
I don't think they will. They got too many holes on defense. They can't stop people from throwing all over them, and it just ain't good in Pittsburgh right now. Tough times. I just don't know what to say. It's a little bit surprising.
You really think they're going to start out 0-2-1 to start this year?
I do, and I think Tampa's going to be, if you can believe it, 3-0.
Nah.
Tampa just beat the Eagles, and they're a lot better than the Steelers. And they beat the Saints in New Orleans, and I'm going to say they're better than the Steelers overall.
But the Eagles are coming in, limping in. Jeffrey's not there. Ajayi's banged up. They got their backup quarterback, Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP. He's not playing good at all. So if Wentz would have been playing in that game, the Eagles would have won.
I'm not so sure about that. If that was Wentz's first game back, he could have been rusty.
Then Tampa started out, 27-7. The Eagles stormed back, made it a game.
Yeah.
So they might have hit their peak.
Tampa, although it's just 2 weeks in, sort of reminds me of the Carolina Panthers team that nearly went undefeated.
Uh-oh.
I say that, and hold on now.
Travis, do we have a Buccaneers fan on our hands here?
Hold on.
You're adding to the NFC South bandwagon here?
Nah.
Are you a Bucs fan, boy?
Let me finish my point here. That year, Carolina was known to get big leads on people, and then they let people back in the game, but they'd still find a way to win. So far, that's what Tampa's done through their first 2 games. I know it's just 2 games, it's a small sample. But they had a big lead on the road in New Orleans. New Orleans came storming back late, and Tampa held on. Same thing last week against the Eagles. Tampa's defense isn't I'm just going to say it's not too great, but
it's horrible.
My gosh, they do enough on offense to win.
That's going to end this week.
I don't see that ending this week, especially against that defense, Pittsburgh. They're getting thrown all over left and right, and I just don't see it ending. And good for Tampa, 2-0, and hosting a Monday night game against the premier franchise. Good time to be a Bucs fan, I'll say. At least through the first 2 weeks of the season.
The way you got the face you're making right now makes me think that you are going to be a freaking Buccaneers fan. Is this true?
No way.
The way you're talking about them. This is the way you talked about the Falcons a few years ago.
I don't hate Tampa Bay, but I ain't going to pull for them. But I think it's cool seeing Fitzpatrick do well. I ain't going to lie, but not going to pull for him.
And then Nick Bell, you said that this man was a franchise quarterback. Are you crazy? This guy, he's a backup at best. He's starting out hot. I'll give him that. He's starting out good. This ain't going to last. This is just a little fairy tale. It's going to end. Don't put any faith in this guy. He's a backup at best.
I will say Bradley made some good points, but I don't know about that. I don't know.
What has he done before this 2-week stretch? Nothing really. He's left team after team after team. Nobody wanted him.
Maybe he just hasn't been in the right situation. Maybe he is now.
Maybe.
And if he plays well this Monday night and they win again,
I still say it's a fluke.
And, of course, this is going to be the last game Jameis Winston is suspended for. There's absolutely no way in the world you can bring in Jameis Winston and start him over Fitzpatrick. If this role continues Monday night like I think it's going to, there's no way in the world. And even if Tampa was to lose and they still play good on offense, I still don't think you can bench the man unless he just absolutely falls off a cliff.
I could see that happening.
Which I don't think will happen. Maybe later on down the road, yes, but I don't think it's going to happen in this particular game.
Well, let's talk about what happened this past Thursday night. The Browns getting their first win since 2016.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. The era has begun. And like I said at the beginning of the year, my bold prediction for Baker Mayfield is the banner that used to be up in Cleveland of LeBron is now going to be replaced with a Baker Mayfield banner. The era has begun. The Browns fans are lit. They're excited. They're pumped. This guy, he might be for real. When the Browns took him first overall, I thought, what the heck are they doing? Are they stupid? But maybe I was wrong. I think he might be okay. I still think Sam Darnold's better, but he might be all right.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield, unbelievable football player. For some reason, I about got sidetracked and said something off topic. I don't know what was in my head.
What were you thinking about?
I was thinking about Tampa Bay for some weird reason. But
oh my gosh, folks, you're hearing it. Travis King is becoming a Buccaneers fan before your very ears.
Lord, nah.
He's going to add to the Panthers and Falcons, and now it's going to be the Bucks.
Nah, that ain't gonna happen.
Mr. NFC South, Travis freaking King.
That ain't gonna happen. But, yeah, it was impressive Thursday night what Baker Mayfield did. A part of me feels bad for Tyrod Taylor. Of course, he played at Virginia Tech. That's my college team, of course.
And they just lost a huge game to Old Dominion University. Old Virginia Tech Hokies doing what they usually do, choking. But continue. Shout out Jordan Craig Worrell.
Oh, Lord. Well, yeah, I can't explain that one. I mean, the game was at Old Dominion, but I just ain't no excuse for that. Yeah, their quarterback got hurt, but they lost the game on defense. I just couldn't stop them on defense, so just can't explain it. But give Old Dominion credit. They won, and they deserve credit. So there you have it. But yeah, part of me feels bad for Tyrod Taylor. I DVR'd the game Thursday night and came home and I watched it like I always do. And I mean, Tyrod didn't play well. His worst performance of the year out of the 3 games by far, I would say. And then to add insult to, or add injury. I don't know how to word that, but...
Insult to injury.
Yes, I mean, he did get hurt. But either way, if he hadn't got hurt, I still think they were going to pull him out of the game based on the way he was playing, and the crowd was getting antsy and booing and wanting Baker to come in, and if anything, I think he would have been pulled at halftime unless he really started picking it up and doing something. But, I mean, I picked Cleveland to win that game, but just didn't quite envision it happening that way. I didn't think we'd be seeing a Baker Mayfield sighting Thursday night, but I was wrong, and he came in and he done phenomenal. And in my opinion, case is closed in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield's won the job, and he'll be the starting quarterback going forward. Cleveland will be absolutely crazy if they didn't start this man next week in Oakland. So, yep. Congrats to Baker, though. He earned it. He played well, and I wish him nothing but the best.
I got one last thing to say before we close the show for tonight. Le'Veon Bell, if you're out there somewhere listening, please just come back to the Steelers. I drafted you in 2 fantasy leagues. First overall in one, and I had you as a keeper in the other. And then you do this, and you set out, and you act like a baby just because you want more money. Heck, you're making millions of dollars, man. Just come back for the sake of your fantasy owners and the fans of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Come on, week 4, I want to see you. But that's it for tonight. Me and Travis King signing off. Shots fired. Bang, bang. Pow, pow.
Good night, people.